All right, let's go. And with that, we
Yeah.
can proceed.
All right.
Okay, so let me share my whole screen. So,
Okay.
right here, this is the message that you had written when you signed up. Is there anything else that you sort of had in mind that you wanted to bring up during this session, or does this mostly cover it?
Let's see. I think that mostly covers it. Maybe as we get in, it might get more specific, but
Okay,
this
yeah.
is the general like overview
Okay,
of
got
the
it.
whole problem. Yeah.
So what we should definitely start with is let's watch a couple of replays and see if we can like spot exactly what's going on with either your technique or consistency and sort of try to get to the bottom of it. And then after that, we will just sort of talk about general concepts and principles. And then by the end of the session, we'll try to have some sort of system or different practice methods that you can use to, work on whatever it is. And like as you improve, those principles should still be able to apply.
Nice. Okay. I have replay just about ready here for you.
Oh, all right. So if you can send the replay
What's it
file.
called? Yeah.
Yo, legit Korea, let's go.
I know. I
You're the
love.
beast.
Okay. So I just set this. Yes, it's. I need to hold. Wait, I need to pull up the local.
Oh, you can export it from there.
Wait, oh, because that's right. Because it's submitted.
I mean, yeah. Because you can press F2 here on the result screen.
Oh, on the result. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
There you go, and then you can just drag that file over.
All right. And no replay data has been saved. Let me back out and go back in. I think that might fix. Let me global ranking.
Can
Wait.
you check your locals?
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, there we go.
I kept clicking on the wrong thing. All right, let me try to export this replay. This is not going as smoothly. There it goes. Okay.
Oh, okay, nice. Can you actually send the replay file over?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
There we go.
All right, let's go. Just so I can sort of like feel it with my own hands,
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna stream it on my end if that's okay.
Then let me open yours up here.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Hopefully this works. Can you see?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Well, let me check the stats actually. Okay, 6 stars and 182 and OD9. Okay.
I was one slider break from my first 6 stars. See?
Oh no.
I know. Right at the end of the last hard stream, it's the like one of those like finger control things where they put a single note at the end of a stream to mess you up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it was a slider, so I was like, oh no.
That's unlucky. Okay, so a couple sort of like preliminary questions. So I assume you're using tablet, right?
Yes, tablet and keyboard.
Okay.
I actually have kind of the same setup as you, but I drag like a white cat grip, but like halfway between white cat and MREC grip, it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Got it. And what's your area?
100.
Okay. Did you recently make it bigger?
It not too recently. I think it's been like 2 months since I changed it, but I've been increasing it slowly. I think as of like 6 months ago, I was using like 40 area.
Oh, wow.
And so I've just been going up like once a month or so, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
Okay, got it.
And then now I'm at 100 and I feel like comfortable here.
So do you, like, was it recent that you switched it to 100?
I think beginning of February is when I did it. Yeah.
I think that
funny enough.
Just the reason I ask is because it seems like you are like really on the edge of under aiming, like a lot of notes.
Yep.
Like, yeah. Can you sort of talk about that?
I'm trying to become more accustomed to actually like moving my hand across, like moving my arm to do aim movements instead of just using my wrist.
Okay.
And while it's I've garnered more consistency with like harder aim, with like flow aim and whatnot. If it's like long jump, if it's like very cross map jumps or spaced awkward patterns, it can get a little bit dicey with either like over aiming it because I like jerk my hand too hard, or under aiming it because I didn't aim fast enough or something.
Okay, got it.
I did just set a bunch of farm replays, so you could probably look at those if you want to see it. I've been mad farming this morning for no reason.
And I have a question about your tapping technique, or like I guess which fingers you prefer, or I guess which fingers you use for different stuff. So I assume are you using index middle or index ring?
Index middle.
Okay, got it.
I'm left-handed, so that's why it looks funky like that.
Okay, got it. So do you have a preference to which finger you like either start or end patterns on?
Preference usually green pattern I always started on the end.
Oh wait, your mic is cutting out. Can you say that again?
If it's a green pattern, I'll try to do it on my index finger. If it's anything else, it just kind of depends. But I've seen that the harder the map, the more likely I am to start on my middle finger, which I find interesting.
Oh, interesting. So you... Oh, okay, there's a side break. Okay. So
yeah, there's a side split, right? I think this would have been like 198 for... Because the accuracy's terrible, it would have been like 198 if I had actually not slider broke.
Dang. All right, well, we'll get those numbers up. How much is it for SS? That'll be next week.
Hopefully, if I could get a good ACFC on this, that'd be awesome. It'd be a total flex.
Wait, there's DTs on this. What's going on? What
I wouldn't be surprised. Probably Emmerich.
Yeah, Emmerich, Mr. Eterna. Okay, anyway, so basically, you have a preference to starting stuff with your index, but then when it's harder, then you're more likely to use your middle, basically?
Yep.
Okay. Also, do you have a program named Rewind?
I do have Rewind.
Okay.
Although I very much underutilize that resource.
Okay, I'm gonna pull up this replay and rewind actually.
Okay.
And
I can't wait to see how many times I double tap notes in streams. It's gonna be so bad.
Well, really what I'm looking for, because I notice you like sort of over tap a lot.
Right, over tap and then like overcompensate and under tap.
As I mean, not in terms of like tapping too fast, but you kind of like you don't really. It doesn't seem like you count how many times to tap. Like on
not
these
really
on these quads.
2, 3, 4.
It seems like you're tapping 6 times on like these quads, basically.
Yeah.
Like I think it happened in all of these. Yeah. So
that's a bad habit I have. Specifically, tapping with both fingers to hit a slider.
Oh, okay.
That's actually something I've started noticing. I'll go like if it's a triple, the 1, 2, 3, and the 3 is a slider.
Right.
I will tap 4 times, but hold both notes because I don't remember which finger I clicked with.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Which is why, like on all of these, you see all the extra taps.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this was an extra tap. Oh, well, the extra tap actually saved you here because you were under aiming.
Oh yeah, I would have missed that.
Let's see here. Let me turn my volume off and just kind of play it really slow.
2, 3. There's the extra tab.
Yeah.
There's an extra tab.
Okay. So I think like pretty much every burst. Oh, okay, yeah. I think here you even tap like. So it's like either 1 or 2 extra taps. On like almost
which can be detrimental for accuracy.
Right. And it's always after burst. So do you feel like you struggle to like count how many times to tap, or do you just like are you just kind of too lazy to tap properly?
Maybe so. I want to say it's that it's a struggle to keep up with counting. Like maybe it's reading because if I'm like on tech maps that go back and forth between doubles and triples,
right,
I like completely lose if I'm doing triple or double, and we'll end up like doing a quad instead because I'm like trying to stop and I just keep going.
Okay, got it. So I would definitely suggest okay, so what I'll have you do, I'll probably have you try a map or two in a little bit if that's okay.
Yeah,
and Since you're going to be playing live anyway, if you have a hand cam of some sort.
I do have a hand cam.
Okay, yeah,
Let
that
me
would be
make
perfect.
sure it's lined up because my
Okay.
monitor, I might have to pull my hand cam over to this monitor since my second. I was doing some last minute fiddling with my setup to see uh, if my laptop would actually run OSU better than my desktop because my desktop has like 6-year-old hardware in it.
Oh.
And then I realized, oh, I don't have any locals on my laptop, and my OSU folder is like 60 gigabytes large. And I had like 20 minutes left, so I was just
Oh, I see.
abandoned that whole idea. Oh, that's right. I was checking my hand cam. Make sure that everything can be seen here, nice and good. Now, actually, let me ask a question here. Would you
Yeah.
rather the hand cam be an aerial view or like desk view?
Probably desk view towards your tapping hand is what I'm a little more concerned about. I think
Okay.
I am noticing a lot of like sort of not landing in the center of notes. And
Right.
we can talk a bit about that, but I feel like if I told you to just like, work on, landing in the centers of objects a bit more closely, then I don't suspect you would have too many issues with practicing that. So
Maybe. I think I'd have to practice on really slow maps to
right,
that.
and that's really the ideal way to do it. What I would suggest, if you've heard of what's called auto method, um,
Um, no, I haven't actually.
okay, so auto method is basically like you try to make your gameplay look like auto, like like perfect
Okay.
movements and everything. And
Right, like
usually,
you're playing on relax or playing on autopilot.
yeah.
Okay.
And usually you do that on like 1-star maps, and the reason is because like it's super slow, but like it's where you can just focus only on your cursor stability, and
Right.
making your cursor movement perfect, basically. So that is something I would really recommend for, especially like adapting to a new area. You can
Hmm.
also try like playing smaller CS type stuff. Um,
Right.
but yeah, really, it's just about like being very focused on your cursor movement.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, let me add a couple notes to this text file. So,
Oh, and another replay I was intending to show would be my string practice map, like the stamina practice maps from the stamina study.
oh, okay, sure.
Since I did it for a couple weeks, but I think I was in group 7 and I could not overcome the OSU addiction.
Oh no.
Which, funnily enough, that ended up like destroying my consistency because I started playing more, but not playing the stamina maps like an idiot.
Oh, I see.
uh, I wonder if I would have been better off had I just kept going, kept going. You'll see it. Here,
Um,
in a, when you're ready here in a minute.
okay, I'm gonna just add like overtaps after pretty much every burst.
Hmm.
Um, tends to tap 2 extra times when a burst goes straight into a slider. Sometimes just 1 extra tap. But that's less common. Okay.
Got to make sure to hit that slider. uh,
um. Okay. Yeah. So let me get you a map to play.
oh, sure.
Yeah. Is there something else you were gonna bring up before that?
Oh, no, no. I'll show the I'll show my slew of scores on 160 later.
Oh no. You can do that now. I think that's worth
Okay,
doing now.
let's see here. So it's interesting. My score progression on here is actually inverse mostly. Some of my newest scores are some of my worst scores right now.
Oh, I see.
But some of my oldest scores, like this was the beginning of February, back when the
S-
stamina study started.
Okay.
Whereas like this for me back then was like really good act. Like, oh my god, you're actually doing it really good.
Ah, I see.
I think this was just from earlier. You can see I can't even FC these anymore, and I used to be able to do it like 3 times with like no trouble, like
I
3 times
see.
F. with sometimes questionable accuracy.
So, did you used to do any sort of like stretching to warm up that you sort of like have been more lazy about lately?
So I sometimes I will completely forget to stretch, but very generally, especially if I'm practicing stamina for the day, I will always stretch and warm up or stretch to warm up,
Okay, got
which
it.
is like it's the hand flexing where you go like from fist outward, and then
Oh yeah.
where you individually close each finger, and
Oh
then
yeah.
doing each finger to the knuckle, and then I'll just shake my hand, like shake it really hard to get some of the blood flowing in there. That seems to work the best,
I
which is
see. I
funny.
see. Um. Okay, so let's start by trying a map or two, and then we can probably come back to this.
Okay,
Yeah. So
let's see
let
here.
me grab
Oh, and since I'm about to do the playing, I'll show my hand cam here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Let me see. I should help the white balance a little bit.
All right, let's go.
Alrighty, download. Been a while since I've used anything since OC Direct. Top diff or
Yes, this will be the top diff no mod.
okay. I might end up failing this.
Uh-oh. No, you got this.
This is this type of map is what I would call anti my skill set. Small CS, slow, spread out aim, and then alternating burst. Okay, I did not fail. I totally forgot to put my interface on. My apologies.
Oh, you're good. Okay, so
Okay,
+7 rings. Okay, let's
let's
go.
go. Plus 1 million square.
Can I get the replay file of this?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead and just drag that over here. Boom.
All
I
right.
did not press center. There it goes.
Okay, it's time to put this under the microscope.
All right.
Oh, replay, please work. Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you can do it. Okay, there we go. Okay. So what I'm really looking for is okay, so
I think I'd have 4 times on that double.
in like trying to read like the different length of bursts, I assume you basically Or were you able to read how many times you were supposed to tap and your fingers just kind of like didn't want to do it, or how would you describe it?
That's pretty accurate. Like, it's like I know it's like, oh, that's a triple, oh, that's a quad, oh, that's a double, and then my fingers are like, okay, I'm just gonna keep tapping the entire time, and we're gonna hope it hits everything.
Okay, got it.
Um,
Okay, so it seems like basically you need to like train your fingers to do like what you already know you're supposed to be doing, basically.
right. Yeah, exactly. I feel
Okay,
like my reading is like all right. If it's like, I mean, it's like AR8 like reading, it's like no, but if it's like normal no mod reading, it's
right.
pretty decent.
Um, okay, that actually reminds me. So I must ask, do you
Mm.
have any like certain goals for either like the type of player you want to be or the types of maps you want to be, or like if you want to
Uh,
get into tournaments or anything like that?
so my like this is my like unrealistic but like high setting goal.
Okay.
Uh, to be like grand is like BTMC, but a Turna.
Okay.
So
Got it.
massive flowing hard rock consistency, but speed.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, in that sense, okay, if that is the case, what I will say is that people say, and I definitely think it's true. Like a lot of okay, here let me sort of try to like draft out my thoughts here in words. Let me share
Sure.
my let me share my whole screen.
Right. And I guess this whole idea of like BTMC by Turna comes from uh, I have a pass on what's it called? Raise My Sword
Uh huh.
and Image Material,
Oh,
which Raise My Sword was like I was getting nerves on that one, but Image Material, that one honestly not that bad.
oh,
Except for all the
nice.
alt sections. I couldn't hit a single one.
Oh,
But
okay.
the stream parts, it's like, oh, this is super
Oh,
easy.
the alt sections like let me see if I can find.
Basically everything that's not a stream I couldn't hit. It's basically how the image material goes.
Okay, but the flow sections you're talking about are like oh, okay,
Like
like
all this right here, yeah. It's like
okay,
that's really hard. The beginning, before right at
like
the
this.
beginning, yeah. The flow, but it's like super slow and you gotta like alt it. That's
Oh,
not
like
my thing.
this bit.
Let's see. Maybe it's just after the first stream. Do.
Oh, like after the break.
Yeah, like this part, like
Uh
I
huh.
can't consistently FC this part at all.
Oh, okay, like a pattern like this one.
Yeah, that'd be a great example of a pattern
Okay,
that's like really hard for my fingers to get through, even though
got
I
it.
can like aim it just fine.
Actually, do you have a replay of your pass? I'm kind of
Let's
curious to
see.
see what it looked like.
Main staring. My standard. So I think this one. Let's see. What's my like most recent decent pass? I think this is my most recent pass.
Okay.
Gotta go. My mouse is kind of confined to one space, so it might take me just a second to get things through here.
Oh, you're good.
There we are.
Okay. Because I'm pretty curious to see. Where did your replay go? Here we go. Okay. So that pattern in particular, where are you? Okay, here. So
Yeah.
okay, so it basically becomes like spamming and like
Yeah,
not
it's
being very
like
confident.
I don't really I don't feel like I have the control to get through that. And
Okay.
I have a problem with slowing my fingers like down, you know? Like to actually alt a pattern and keep my fingers at like a lower speed, it's difficult.
Okay, got it. So yeah, because one thing I'm noticing is you seem like you can aim it just fine, like you know, like aiming through this little wiggle, like you're able to like actually wiggle your cursor here, like the right amount.
Right, like
Um,
actually like snapping and whatnot.
right. So I'm really not that concerned about your aim per se. I think there's a lot. to touch on regarding finger control, but I think that's really the main thing that's holding back your consistency. So
Right.
one way to think of consistency is like you have like aim and tapping and reading that basically act as like three legs of a stool, and obviously any one that's too weak is going to knock it all over. So but it seems like, you know, you only really have one leg that's like kind of like it's almost not there, but like once you get it there, then like you're gonna like be like that much more comfortable basically.
Right.
So
It's like a stool that stands like 2 feet high, but two legs are 4 feet long and one's like a foot.
right. Okay, so let's see here. Let me share my whole screen. Okay, so this is going to be sort of like how we can understand technique as it relates to a couple other things, mostly like how good you are, and also like in some sense there's an aspect of confidence involved. So
Right.
have you heard people talk about how like a lot of tapping has to do with just technique, like how fast you are, or like your stamina? Like a lot of it is technique related.
I've heard that it is mostly just technique related.
Right. So I think a big thing is that okay, actually there's like a lot of thought. I'll try to just like jot them down and then sort of like maybe make them a little more coherent in a sec. But a technique is tapping skill such as like speed / stamina is mostly seen as technique related. And then the better, okay, so I think a good way to put it is like the better you are, like skill wise, the better your technique will be. The better your technique will be. But then also the better your technique is, the better your skill will be. Right. So and then the better your technique is, the better your you will be, basically. Or your skill. So you can see there's sort of a paradox here, like which one are you supposed to focus on? Your skill is. So with that, and so the reason why I bring up confidence is that, especially when you are relatively new, and you're trying to refine technique with like almost no skill to back it up, you try to do it really slowly, basically. But because if you tried, okay, have you ever gone ice skating, for example?
I have gone. Yep.
Okay, are you any good at it?
No, which this is actually a great analogy.
Okay, yeah.
I think I can finish it. It's like so you go ice skating, right? You're like terrible, and you're like trying to find crutches, like using the wall, and then you get like then you get like one of those like training walkers for like little kids.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh hey, look, I don't have to like put in any technique because this is doing all the work for me, so I can just go like fast, go zoom zoom.
Yeah, okay, that's one thing. Okay, that's actually a little separate, but that's actually another good point. So there's sort of like walker things. Okay, so skiing, for example. Skiers have these sticks.
For like balance and whatnot.
Right. So, well, actually, you would think they're for balance, but really the sticks are really just there to like kind of control your speed if you're going really fast, and also to help you with walking, like up a hill.
Up a hill and whatnot.
But they're not actually to keep your balance. Like sometimes they're going really fast and they sort of like push the poles into the snow. But you can see this guy, like he's definitely not using his poles for balance. He's just holding them. But what you'll find, okay, so when little kids are learning how to ski, they don't even have poles at all. And the point is that like you need to, like, skiing is about like your body weight distribution, and like that sense of balance, and not actually, because like what you'll try doing as a beginner, okay, actually this is a little short story. So you know apraxia, right? So we went skiing for the first time recently, and he has these we had poles, so we didn't know what we were doing, right? And he was like, every time he would lose balance, he would try to like catch himself by like pushing the poles really hard into the ground.
And I'm guessing that did not work very well.
Did not work very. He ended up breaking one of them, and
Oh
so
gosh.
it like just snapped in half, and because
Whoops.
he was like putting all his weight on the pole, which is actually
Right.
not what you're supposed to do. So then like from then on, he just kind of like didn't use his poles, and then he actually figured out that like it's not really about the poles in the first place. And then he was like, "Holy crap, poles are just there to int you when you're learning, basically." So,
They're a red herring.
yeah.
They're bad fundamentals.
Well, you can see like this girl doesn't even have poles, right? But
Right.
yeah. Anyway, so ice skating. So the thing about technique, like let's say you're trying to like start figuring out how to move because you see everyone else is moving pretty quickly, and
Right.
you're trying to practice the technique of like moving around on the ice, but like really slowly because you're not very good. But the thing is that like for a lot of different like tricks or technique, like you need some sort of speed. Otherwise, you're just kind of gonna topple over.
Right.
So in some sense, it's actually kind of tricky to develop your technique if you don't have the confidence to like give yourself a little bit of speed and potentially fall over. So, and that's
It's
where
like
the confidence comes
it's
in.
like on a bike, right? Because
Yeah,
like if you're not
yeah.
confident enough to go fast, it's not going to balance itself, so you're not going to stay up. You'll just be
Right,
falling.
right. Like it's a lot harder to pedal at like half a mile an hour than to even go like 5, right?
Right. Takes more skill to do that.
Right. It takes skill, but you need to start trying to do that in order to develop the skill in the first place.
Right. You need to start fast, be able to go slow, kind of.
Right, right. And so that's why I say that like confidence is actually so important in like developing technique because like obviously if you were like day one, for example, then you don't have any confidence, probably, hopefully. that would be kind of dangerous. But
right. I mean, I can show you what day one confidence looked like for me because I definitely had it.
oh, okay.
Although this is more like 4 months in, but it's like I was still like 500k, I think. Can I not spell honesty? I cannot spell honesty. Okay.
Ooh.
I used to play a lot of honesty as a mid 500k. I think my stream is still going. If you'll just take a quick look over here.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Did I? I
It
might
is
have stopped
not.
it. Let me double check. Okay, it's not.
Okay. Let's see here.
Oh,
let's go.
So, all of these are from about this time last year.
Oh, okay.
Which
Wow.
is where I was like, this is when I was like high 6 digit. I was like 700k. I was not good at the game. I think I actually these are still replays I have.
Yo, let's go.
This is when I didn't even know that you could lock aspect ratio on your tablet area.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
Although I'm surprised I could like competently kind of aim these streams a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't actually seem that bad.
Right.
But yeah.
The tapping, I mean, you can see that I'm just all over the place. I have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Which is hilarious. So, like a year later, if you still look at the UR bar, it's like nothing changed. Although it's a little tighter, but not really.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So obviously there's like a technique element to it. There's also sort of a mental element to it. Like if you sort of like if your first experience of like playing these sorts of streams was like you just kind of like spam whatever and like not really focus on like tapping properly, like that can sort of develop into like the only way that you know how to play.
If I can find, I think I have another good example of it. What's it called? It was this really old stream. It's like a marathon stream, like was it death stream practice?
Is it like is it the one with the skull in the background?
Yeah, the one with the skull. Do you know what it's called?
Oh, yeah. Shoot.
Here it is.
Yeah, that one.
Death stream compilation. Yeah, this is even earlier.
Oh my gosh, wow.
12/31/20. This is 6 days after I started playing the game.
What the heck? Okay, so so did you get started through like watching certain players or what?
I have a 5-digit friend who has been playing us since like 2018. We had originally started playing the game together, but I didn't stick with it. He did. And so when I came back to Osu around like November of 2020, I was like, hey, I got back into Osu. And he's like, oh, cool. And then like we started playing together. And I'm like, hey, like I can tap really fast. What's like a good skill for like being able to tap really fast?
Oh.
And he's like, streaming. And I'm like, okay, hit me with a stream map, and then this.
He sent you this?
I couldn't even read AR9 at
Oh
this
my
point. Like, I was
gosh.
struggling to just keep up with the AR
That's
while trying to
crazy.
do this. Yeah. So I think partly that's what's handicapped me a little bit, because like I've had to like undo the idea that not every stream is a 7-star stream, you know? Like, it's not
Right.
gonna like kick my ass if I'm just trying to aim it and tap it.
So here, okay, let me probably share my screen again.
Oh yeah,
And,
sure.
and just sort of like wrap up this little bit.
Right. I did kind of tangent, but
No,
that's
you're good. You're good.
pretty.
Yeah, I think that's worth sharing because it definitely shows like a bit more context as to like
Right.
what exactly you were doing when you first started. So
Yep.
actually, let
I
me
was
check
also
here.
only going for passes. I think since I started the game, it was pass, pass, pass. How many maps can I pass in a day?
Okay, yeah, I see. So
That's why if you check my like top 100, it's mostly A and B ranks.
yeah, okay, yeah, I'm noticing that, and especially just looking at these numbers here.
Yep,
Um,
those 5 SSs, by the way, are on 1-star maps with like just sliders.
oh, okay, let's go. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, I see. Um, yo, image material. Let's go.
Right. Image jail, raise my sword. I got the cool square at the bottom.
Yo, the bunny.
I know.
Oh my
I
gosh.
I tried doing that, I think back in September.
I'm
Got
s-
one slider break on it and
oh
didn't
no.
touch it for like 6 months.
I'm so proud.
Right. So I went back, I got the bunny.
Let's go. Um, yeah. So I mean, you got the bunny. I'm not really sure what else. Like, what am I supposed to tell you?
Right, it's like top player soon. No.
Yeah. um. Okay. So.
Oh, actually, also looking through my most played beat maps, it's a great indicator. The
Oh.
Padoru and Black Rover. I had I definitely could not FC those when I started trying to. But I was like trying to use Hard Rock to unmind block myself, and that's how I taught myself AR-10.
Oh
I
man,
spent my farm maps.
that's crazy. Um. Okay. I'll revisit this in just a sec, but I want to also
Mhm.
talk about like the sort of balance between skull cap and technique. Um,
Mm.
A little tangent, but up until recently, I was writing skull cap as one word, and I think it's
Uh,
supposed to be two. Um,
skill cap.
I'm not really.
Unless skill cap is its own word, I think you're right. I think it's two
It
generally.
could be, but maybe it makes sense. Like like the cap of your skill. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, um,
Yeah, I think the one word skill cap is just what we gamers have come up with to
yeah.
like keep it easier. But yeah, because I think it's skill capacity. Cap short
Oh,
for capacity. So
right.
that would be 2 words. So I think
Okay.
that's why
Interesting.
it's
Um. Okay. So basically, technique is sort of like your like groundwork, obviously, of
Mhm.
ability. And technique basically is your fundamentals.
Right.
And so um technique, okay, so basically you have let me think of the best way that I can put this. So
Terrible fundamentals for tapping. That's how I would put it.
wait, what's up?
I'd put it as terrible fundamentals for tapping.
Oh no. um so like you can have like all this skill cap,
Mhm.
but
Oh, but like if you have a bad technique, you'll just bring down your overall skill level.
well, you can't really
Essentially.
use that skill cap if you have such poor technique, basically.
Ah, okay.
Um, like it's sort of like I think like farming skill cap without technique is kind of like in those like MMOs where you unlock a weapon but you need to be a certain level to actually use it.
Right,
Um,
and then you like just like grind level, but pay attention to nothing else.
right. Well,
And
really, what's happening with skill cap is you're unlocking these like level 100, level 80 like swords or whatever weapons, but
okay,
you're like level 20. Like you can't even use them.
I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, so you have to actually, and it's kind of boring, but you kind of have to do that like level grinding on like slightly easier stuff that you can
Right.
actually clear, basically, like, quote unquote, get experience points and raise your level until you can actually use those weapons.
Right. In this case, like go through and like FC like lower star like fundamental like training maps and whatnot.
Right.
Like 4.5 star, 5 star tech maps, kind of.
Yeah. And it probably sounds boring, but like so is like the early stages of pretty much anything that you do.
Right.
So, like you start a brand new MMO, you're level 1, you're fighting like little slimes in the fields, So,
Right.
um,
I
you
guess at
work
that
your way
point
up.
it's fun because it's a challenge, and then once you like start leveling up, you get like all these cool weapons, and then you're like,
Right.
oh, I just really want to get to like this point because that's a super cool weapon. I could go fight all these really cool monsters with it.
Right.
But I'm like 60 levels under leveled for
Yeah.
it.
Another okay, another sort of analogy. So, have you played
Mhm.
Minecraft that much?
Yes, a lot
Okay,
of
yeah.
Minecraft.
So, you're playing Minecraft. You start your world,
Mhm.
right? You got wooden tools, and then
Right.
you find this giant ravine goes all the way to lava, and there's diamond at the bottom. And you're like, OMG,
Which is
diamond! Oh my gosh, this is so hype. This is what all the cool people use, right? So you take your wooden pick
right.
and you just try mining the diamond. First of all,
Oh
it's going to take
gosh.
way too freaking long compared to if you
We're,
just like had an iron pick. But second of all, you're
right.
not even going to get anything out of it. So,
Nope.
um, yeah, I think that also hopefully like clarifies like sort of the relationship between skill cap and technique.
Right.
Yeah.
The idea that it's like you can like cheese like 7 stars with good flow aim all you want, but if you're not like actually like tapping like properly, you're like probably gonna fail, and it's not gonna be good when you do it anyway.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, good. So it seems like it sort of makes sense.
Mm.
So with that in mind, um, let me see if I can go back to this sort of relationship here. So,
With
um,
the confidence thing, maybe.
yeah. So, training. Okay, let me actually know since I have the sentence in my head already. So, training technique can be fairly boring, but it sets the foundation for your. How do I put this? For actually being able to use the skill cap that you like develop, or I guess a skill. And examples like getting getting a level 80 weapon in an MMO where you're only level 20, like trying to mine diamond with a wooden pick in Minecraft, right? So here, so technique, okay, so when you're brand new, there isn't much confidence to work with, but you usually need at least a little bit of confidence to start work. Oh, what confidence? To work
Intense.
on uh, tech like most techniques. See ice skating, for example, or biking, for example.
Right.
So okay. So basically, like when you're brand new, so let's take like a hypothetical. If you're like brand new, then like you need to dip your toes in the activity and get a feel for like what it's actually like for a little bit, and basically get comfortable in that environment, and that sort of builds up that confidence that you can then take into training your first like very basic techniques. And then I think you also really want like a strong foundation of techniques to build off of. Like you especially as a beginner, you want a very very solid foundation of techniques that you can build off of. So I'm not really sure. Okay, I think a fair way, I can probably just use Osu as an analogy. So you can take like pen grip, for example. Like you can try aiming, like training aim as much as you want, but like if you like aren't even comfortable like holding a pen. Okay, let's say like you try learning how to aim in your right hand, for example.
Oh, this is a good one. Yep.
Yeah, and so
You can. Oh God.
what's the point in training aim if you can't even like move the cursor in a straight line,
Right.
or like even like across the whole screen? Like you need that foundation of technique that you can build off of. Otherwise, like kind of like writing with invisible ink, so to speak. You're kind of not like there's like no structure to what you're doing, and
Right. It's like it's doing something, but it's not exactly like
right.
productive.
And we can even look at like studying or like knowledge, for example. Like let's say you've like never even taken like physics 101, and then you open a textbook for astrophysics. Like you can probably read every sentence, like every page out loud, cover to cover, and like
Right.
I'm not sure how much physics you would actually learn. So
Right. 'Cause you won't understand like half of what you're saying. You'll just be
right,
saying it.
right. There's this sort of like analogy that's used in I guess other like skills and as it relates to foundation or fundamentals, but basically it's like filling water with like a bucket with holes in it.
Uh,
Like or those like buckets that are basically just like a bunch of wooden planks like in a cone shape, but like
I think
there's like a gap between like all the planks of wood basically.
right.
Basically it's just a bucket with a bunch of holes. Like you can't fit any water in that.
Yeah. The idea being it's just going to keep falling out. As you
Right,
fill it up.
right. Another thing is you have a leak from the ceiling and you put a bucket under the leak, right, to collect the water, and you try to solve the problem by just whenever that bucket gets full, you just put an empty bucket in its place instead of actually fixing the leak.
Right.
When the obviously the goal is to fix the leak.
It's a halfway solution, so you don't actually have to like work on the problem.
Right, or even like you just put tape over like the wall where the water's coming from, but that still doesn't fix the leak most likely.
Right. It's still coming from somewhere, and now
Yeah,
you just stopped it from
right.
bothering you.
So yes, with that, hopefully that paints a fairly clear picture. A lot of analogies, but hopefully they all kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, do you have any questions on like sort of anything that we sort of discussed here that I wrote down?
Let's see. Maybe not specifically related to what we've written down.
Okay, so
I did have a planned question.
yeah, sure.
More specific because we're both left-handed and we both play on keypad.
Right. The number pad.
Wondering, when you were like figuring out where to tap on the keyboard,
Uh-huh.
did you ever try going to the middle of your keyboard but keeping your elbow where it would have been with your keypad?
like moving the whole keyboard over and then using like the letters,
or like a keeping or not, but not moving the keyboard. So like moving your arm so it's like turned instead of like 90 degrees. It's like turned in towards your body. Did you ever
I have
try that
not,
before?
but I've tried like pushing my keyboard over basically, and
your
then
arm
still
is
using the
either
number
out or
pad
in.
and like maybe
Hmm.
rotating my elbow a little bit. So
Uh,
well, okay, one thing that's interesting, and this relates to tapping technique. So you can actually look at a lot of different top players' techniques and find that like they're all kind of slightly different. And
yeah, it's
the
kind of annoying, honestly. Like tried to find like a consistency between like White Cat or MREC or you or
right.
anyone else that's like left-handed. It's like no one. It's like nothing.
So I think the best way to put it, and let me share my screen again.
Sure.
So a couple of thoughts on tapping technique. So tapping technique. So, and I'll try to keep this pretty short, but basically,
Right.
the actual technique that you use matters a lot less than like the principles behind it. The actual technique, yeah.
I should this might actually be a good thing to show you
Yeah.
while we're on this. Watching me do like one of those stamina practice, because you can watch my tapping technique like devolve into madness just trying to stay
Oh
consistent.
gosh. Okay. Sure.
Here, I don't actually need to stream those. It's just gonna be like the 160 BPM stream practice thingy. Where is it? Here it is. Uh, but this is more just for my tapping technique.
Okay.
And I'll show you my accuracy by the end of it because it's not going to be good.
Okay.
But this is probably the thing I've struggled with most is maintaining like you know how the idea with like swimming is that you can swim as like hard as you can, but if your form sucks, you're not going to go very far or go very fast, and you'll tire out.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of the idea with here is that I have like speed and stamina, but the actual technique is so bad that I can't like keep most of it in the right spot.
I see. So when you run out of stamina, what part of your like hand or fingers or like, whatever, like what part starts hurting first?
So this is actually an interesting thing. The first way I can tell that I've started spending stamina is I'll feel pressure like in my wrist, like it's like holding my arm up, even though I'm like sitting on an armrest.
Okay.
It's a weird thing, and then from there, my fingers will start locking up, especially if it's on like speed. If I'm like trying to do like freedom dive,
Right.
my fingers will lock up, and I won't be able to do 220. And then I'll feel it like in my forearm.
Okay, okay, got it. And when you feel it in your forearm, is it like sort of sharp or dull, or like how does it feel there?
It's like getting a it's like the whole feel the burn thing. So it's not
Okay.
like I'm damaging a nerve. It's more like my muscles just being worked a lot.
Okay, got it.
It's if on your right hand, like the muscle in the towards your elbow, it's on the top like right side of your forearm.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, that whole area because that's like where the extension muscles are for your fingers. Those get worked the most.
Right.
So to give you an idea, my accuracy was under 60%.
Oh,
I think I aimed off more than I aimed on with or tapped off more than I aimed tapped on that time. It was kind of sad. But I was also trying to explain it as I
talk.
was going, so
Right,
maybe the
yeah.
focus was kind of not totally there.
Right. So, basically what I would say, okay, so let me see if I can
I don't know
talk a
if
bit
you
about.
saw anything with my arm, with my hand or anything. I don't know if you noticed like me like bouncing with
Um,
my
bouncing is
fingers.
actually, I mean, bouncing is something that a couple players do. I don't think that necessarily is bad. I would say that you should try to keep your hand itself relatively still. You
Right.
mostly just want to be moving your fingers, right? So
Even if it's like your ring and pinky for like because you're like flexing to
yeah, yeah. I mean,
maintain speed or something.
the other fingers can sometimes flail around a lot, and I'll sort of talk about like the principles behind technique here.
Mhm.
So, um, basically, you want your hand to be like people say like you kind of want it as relaxed as possible. Um,
Right.
you want your hand to be as relaxed as possible. So, what that basically feels like is you almost like so you have your hand like on your tapping keys, and you almost
Right.
want you want your hand to feel kind of squishy, um, or it's almost like when you're like at the doctor and they're doing like your like they have like the pressure thingy
Right.
on your arm, like
They want you to stay completely like lax
yeah,
in
like
your arm.
if you start tensing your arm, it's gonna hurt so much more. Although it's kind of
Mhm.
tempting because like it's like it's a
Put
lot of
back in
pressure.
expression. Mhm.
Yeah. But in reality, the best thing you can do is just like kind of force yourself, like, okay, just relax as much as possible. You want your arm to kind of be like squishy and um, like malleable, like it can actually like sort of move, like
Mhm.
liquid, basically. Um, so that is sort of like the feeling that you want to get. You can still probably move your arm, but like keep that relaxedness as much as possible.
Okay.
So um, yeah, your hand should will almost feel kind of squishy. And try to think of it as the okay. What exactly is it called? Like it's like something pressure.
Oh, blood pressure cuff.
Is it really blood pressure? Okay, blood
Yes,
pressure.
that's what they're taking when they put that cuff around your bicep.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Cuffs. Think of
not
it
fighting against the pressure, I
right.
think is.
Um, that you uh get at the doctor's office, right? So, um, okay, I'm also very glad that like so far you've understood all of my analogies. So that is very
Yep.
good. Um,
If there's one thing, I got into the habit of it while you were creating the stamina study
uh-huh.
um, thing. You were like trying to go like back and forth, like edit, like reword, edit, reword. I've gotten in the habit of like thinking it's like, oh, you could say it like this or say it like that, or it could be like that.
Oh,
Like
I see.
analogize like everything you said.
Oh,
It's a weird
interesting.
habit that I've built.
That yeah, no, that's definitely a good habit. When it comes to like understanding things. But yeah. So with that, you'll find. So let me grab a couple. So for the sake of time, I won't like show you any of these per se, but
Mhm.
a couple hand cams that you can look at for reference. So Shige's hand cam is pretty good.
When he
So
has it on.
yeah, that's true. So shield, I think it's shield 4 to 8. Yeah. So shield. Um,
Now,
uh,
I guess one more thing while you're finding those, I'm wondering, when you're tapping, do your fingers ever straighten out?
um,
So, like, usually you keep it like curved. It's like you're palming a baseball, right? But then
right,
it's like sometimes if I'm streaming for too, like if I'm trying to do one of those stamina practice things and I'm streaming for too long, my fingers will go from like curved in to out to like in
right.
to out, like trying. But I'm
So
like trying to just keep them in one spot.
personally, I don't actually do that, but the perfect example of that, so that's actually not a bad thing. And this goes back
Okay,
to like whatever you're doing with your fingers doesn't actually matter. What
right.
matters is that you sort of have that principle of like relaxedness and like fluidity almost.
Okay.
And the
So you could say
best
like you could be like bouncing or galloping, but as long as you're like just hands like relaxed on your desk, your arms relaxed on an armrest, and you're just going.
right. So
As long as you're doing that, you're at
yeah.
least doing something
Yeah.
right.
So I think the best example I can show you is Monko's tapping style.
Hmm.
So he's known for being pretty fast. And let me show you. Okay, so this is I think Pretender DT.
Oh man,
And
this looks like me when I'm like straining to hit 270.
yeah, so you'll notice in his tapping style when he's playing stuff really really fast, he stretches out his fingers, but his sort of
Right.
like default hand position is more curled in. Um,
Okay.
like here it's like kind of
He's
curled in.
using the index ring in this
Okay,
case.
yeah, like right here, where he
Mhm.
was like kind of resetting for his stamina,
Right.
on this repeat slider, and he like pulls his hand forward again,
Oh,
um,
okay.
in that sort of like cuffed position, and then he goes back to his speed, and like his fingers are super straight out,
Instantly goes right back out.
right? And you'll notice this sort of like back and forth of like straightening out his fingers for speed, and then like sort of pulling them back in.
Right. Now I'm guessing maybe this is something I've missed. One more important thing.
Yeah,
Keeping your wrist actually like in contact with your
desk.
desk.
Uh,
Uh
that is another thing that I've noticed doesn't actually matter. Um,
okay.
yeah,
You could keep it up, down,
yeah, you can
kind of
keep it up. You
wherever.
can so one thing you can do, let me see if I can like show this through video. Okay, hand cam. Um
I'm gonna move
turn
my
on camera.
hand cam.
Shoot. Okay. Okay, hopefully this will work. Okay. So turn my video on. Okay, yeah, here. So you can so some people have their like elbow extended up like this, and like you can see their wrist
Okay.
is up like this, and they're sort of
Right.
like tapping like this. So I know Apraxia, for example, does that, and he
Interesting.
has so Apraxia does that, and he has one of those like thing like are like wrist rests on the keyboard.
Right here, the little padded things and whatnot.
Right. So by default, so he also uses two different rows. So his hand is kind of
Hmm.
sideways.
Right.
Um,
It's like if using L and P or M and K or something like that.
yeah. So
Right.
he'll tap like that. So by default, his wrist is here, but then when he's playing speed, he more like lifts up like this.
Okay.
Um,
That's
yeah, I
interesting.
think you can actually see. Let me grab let's go to his Twitter, twitter.com/xfsn. There we go.
I wonder if has he ever complained about pain in his, like, sharp shooting pain in his forearm from tapping like this?
Not in his tapping hand, but he usually gets issues in his aim hand, but that's sort of separate.
Actually, both of them are they're both curved in, so they're both like or their forearms are angled inward for this.
Yeah, actually, kind of. Yeah, I guess so. This is I don't know if you saw this tweet, but
I did, yeah.
Yeah,
I think I don't know if I follow Praxia. I follow basically like a large chunk of the OSU community on Twitter, so I kind of always end up seeing these tweets through somebody or another.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so Fancy, you can see like he has his like sort of like side of his hand/wrist like on the table.
Right.
And then when he's playing faster stuff or bursts, it ends up lifting a little bit.
Interesting.
So I guess it's a super short clip, but yeah.
It's a good example, yeah.
Yeah. So okay, let me share my whole screen again. So I smell like incense. Okay, hopefully it's not fire.
It's not like something burning, that'd be bad.
Okay, so
Tweet later, Rip House.
Okay, so does that kind of make sense? I think like you want and okay, the last example I'll show is Rectagon. So Rectagon frozen.
It's like in this case, like so long as I'm, keeping my hand just relaxed, as long as I just keep my arm relaxed.
Yeah. Then it actually doesn't matter like how your hand decides to do that.
Right.
So
it doesn't matter in what way I tap. Is he tapping with 2 different fingers?
So he's tapping with index middle, but his other fingers flail around a lot, and you can tell.
I see. Like trying to do speed. Like he will end up pressing other keys because his hand is flailing so hard.
Who, BTMC?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think when he was doing the violation, like every time he tries to do 270, I've noticed his hand will end up like pressing into his space bar. Like his thumb will end up pressing into his space bar. His like pinky will end up like pressing shift.
Right.
Just because he's flailing his hand like that hard to keep up the speed.
Yeah, you can see in Rectagon's tapping style. Like so his keyboard like will light up when he taps other keys, right?
Right.
And you can see just how often, especially his thumb and ring fingers.
Yeah, they are. They're like really actually like crazy. Tapping along. That's crazy.
Let's see if I can find like there's like a long stream at the end, and you'll sort of see. Yeah, right. Look at this guy.
Insane. He's tapping 4 keys to just hit 2.
Right, but it's not about how your fingers are moving. It's just about the principles behind that movement, basically.
Okay.
And so
if I look into like training, like the actual finger, like the finger control part, whatever my hand does while tapping for that finger control doesn't matter. Just as long as I'm like actively looking to like act and not over tap and
right, yeah,
like consistency across the whole map.
Yeah. So I have a video that sort of let's see. It sort of talks about like the principles of like what your tapping should basically feel like.
Okay.
This one. I don't know if you've seen this video.
I think I've watched most of them. It might not be something I remember specifically though.
Okay. So let's see here. So in this video I basically talk about how like it should basically be your forearm that feels any sort of soreness, and not like if you're feeling soreness or tension in your like hand or fingers or wrist, that basically means that you're tensing something you shouldn't be.
Okay.
And that's
like in this case, because it's pressure in my wrist, I'm probably keeping my wrist tense when it like doesn't need to be.
Right.
It should be like maybe either sitting. It should be either sitting on the desk or my forearm should be down in a way that keeps my arm up, but the pressure's over on my arm, not on my wrist.
Yeah. So you should also, I think one way to think about it, like you should pretend that you have the like blood pressure cuff thing on your wrist and your fingers and your hand, basically.
Okay.
Like that whole bit as much as possible, or at the very least your wrist,
right,
should be pretty relaxed. Obviously you'll need to strain a little bit. Okay, so one thing about technique is basically the way that you perform the action within your skill level. So
Right.
once you leave your skill level, then
That's like straining at that point.
yeah, at that point, like you don't have the skill to maintain your technique
Mhm.
anymore. So if you're like slightly outside of your comfort zone, you might find that you're not using the absolute perfect technique.
Right. It'd be like
And
on those burst ulting maps, that the one you had me play earlier. That's technically like way out of my skill level right now. So like I'm not keeping my burst and double technique. I'm just kind of mashing between the two.
right, and it can be kind of tricky to like you might want to like force yourself to use a really good technique even when
Mhm.
you're kind of skill cap pushing, but those are the situations where you actually like just need to focus on skill cap and then your technique will naturally catch up. And
Okay.
that's sort of like this part of it. The better your skill is, the better your technique will be. But basically it basically just expands the range of difficulty where you can
Mhm.
use your proper like whatever your technique normally is.
Right.
um
It's a great
but
example because like I can like read and play like 7 to 7.5 stars, and like other like 6-digit tournament players at like my rank range can't. They'll fail because they don't have like that skill cap to hit to like read 7.5 stars. But on anything lower star, I can't like beat them because I don't have that overall technique.
oh, okay,
I
got
can
it.
like. Mhm. It's
um
been a
yeah.
great learning experience that I suck at 6-digit maps and I'm just better at 4-digit maps.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So and that again sort of goes back to like I think if you because one thing like if you don't really have technique and you're just like basically like flailing around your like whatever skill cap you happen to have.
Mhm.
um so like personally, um okay okay, I'll use myself as sort of like an like point of
Sort of.
reference. So
Okay.
when I was like trying to improve at streams, like
Mhm.
way like when I first started playing, um if I just mashed as fast as I could, that was 180 bpm. And
Okay.
so whenever I would play a 180 bpm map with streams, then it's just like, okay, just tap as fast as you can, and then that is correct, basically. Like
Right.
you'll get the result you're looking for. Um, but then obviously, as I improved, that was no longer the case. Like I would start to overstream,
Mhm.
and then I
You'd
was
start
like,
building speed and then it'd become a problem at
yeah, it
that point.
became because basically you're not actually, and this happens to a lot of like relatively newer players,
Mhm.
where especially ones that are mostly just trying to play like sort of the hardest things that they can, what they
Mhm.
will end up doing is just like throwing out their like maximum skill like ability.
Yep.
um
I can
and
definitely relate this to myself on those death stream practice maps
oh
from a while ago.
yeah,
Because I would like sit there like just mashing as fast as I could because I don't know what BPM I'm reading. I don't know what I'm reading.
right.
I just know that I can tap really fast, so I should be able to hit it. Obviously, not the case, but
Yeah, and the best example for this actually is probably AR. So when you're a brand new
Mhm.
player, um you just look for like the AR that's like the fastest, that's still comfortable for you. You're basically just reading as fast as you can, and then like finding maps that are like around that AR. So when you were a new player, maybe like AR 8 was the most comfortable for you, but
Mhm.
not necessarily because you could read AR 8. It's just because that was the fastest that you could read.
Yep.
And so as that threshold increased, then it became like 8.5 and then 9 and then maybe like 9.3, etc.
Yep.
And now you can't read AR 8 anymore, but you used to be able to. But
Oh yeah, I
you
cannot read AR8 like at all.
right, but you couldn't really read AR 8 necessarily. You could just like that was just like the fastest that you could play, and you were just like throwing out whatever like your maximum ability was.
Right.
So but basically, like long story short, there isn't really much control that's happening.
Mhm.
um and that is sort of one of the biggest um I almost want to say like weaknesses, but like basically like one of the biggest things that you want to make sure you're focusing on.
Mhm.
um so or basically like developing in your fundamentals, because then like if you like that's basically what allows you to like play image material, like both the streams and also the alt patterns.
Right.
Is being able to control your fingers. So
One day.
yeah. Well, one day you'll definitely get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
It's a whole. If my skill keeps improving, my technique will start catching up a little bit.
right.
It'll lag behind, but it'll keep being tugged forward at least a little bit.
So one thing I can say. Okay. So probably last analogy. So have you played Pokemon before?
Not to a great extent, but you should be able to hit me with it.
Okay. So basically, like you have like different like basically Pokemon in your team, and they can be different levels. And so basically you have well, one way to think about it is so in Pokemon you usually have six people, like six Pokemon in your team, and so in OSU you have aim, tapping, and reading, and then for each of those you have like skill cap and fundamentals.
Right.
So that's technically six, right? So you can think of those as sort of like your six like overarching like skills in this game.
Okay.
So but just for simplicity, let's just look at like you basically have two Pokemon. You have skill cap and you have fundamentals. Okay. And your skill cap might be like level 70, right? And then your fundamentals are like level 20.
Right.
So in Pokemon, basically there's like 1v1 Pokemon battles, and then there's 2v2, which are called double battles.
Okay.
And so you send out both of your Pokemon. You send out your level 70 skill cap, and then your like level, what did I say, 20, 30?
Level 20 technique.
Level 20 technique, right? And basically the experience gets split at the end of the battle. But the problem is that if a Pokemon dies, then it won't get any experience.
Right, okay.
So sometimes your technique just dies, and that then you reach a point where like reading, you
stop like actually like learning. You stop learning.
Yeah, like you reach a point in difficulty. So like as you increase difficulty, you gradually become like more engaged because it's more challenging, until you reach a stopping point where your brain is like there's basically no point, because it's like way outside of your comfort zone. That's like reading the astrophysics textbook.
Right.
And basically like you reach a point where like you are not actually gaining anything anymore.
It'd be like studying for 12 hours straight. You know, like maybe for the first 6 hours, you're like really engaged, you're learning a lot, and then the other half, you're like, your brain's just mush. There's nothing. It's just in and out, in and out.
Yeah.
You're reading, nothing's happening.
Yeah, definitely. So, basically, like you want to pick fights where your technique can like stand all on its own. And given that it's level 20, like you might be used to like fighting like level 70 like OSU maps for example, right?
Like 6.5 star, like 7-star OSU maps.
Right. Yeah. But
I need to go back to 4 stars where they're also level 20 so that I can have a fair fight.
Yeah, or even like honestly, like if you're playing a certain if you're able to, okay, how do I put this? Let's say you're trying to work on maintaining technique at 4 stars, but then you can't even maintain technique on 3 stars. Then that is actually what you want to do first, because if you're learning technique at a certain star rating, that like when you're training skill cap to improve your technique, you should already be able to use your technique properly on everything under that. Because you're trying to expand the skill cap with which you can use the technique that you have.
Right. So it's like how I'm trying to like learn technique for 160 BPM streams, but I can't do 140, 130, 150, 120. Yeah, I can't do any of those either.
Around like I think 140 is like the sort of like a fair minimum for like actual streaming technique. But once you get to like 130,
I'd probably just single tap that, honestly.
Yeah, well, really what happens is you start to reach the point where you need that's sort of like biking at like half a mile per hour.
At that point you need even more skill just to do that accurately.
Yeah. So a lot of people find they're probably most comfortable around 160 or 150, 140 when they're like first learning to stream. But then like once you get to like 120, 110, like they don't even have the control for that, and that's actually normal.
Okay. Now, if I were to give you an analogy comparing to that, for me, biking at half a mile an hour is like doing 160. Because I've been able to tap for like 260 BPM since like day one. Because I used to play piano, and so my actual like tap speed is like really high.
Oh, okay.
Because my finger strength is really good.
Right.
Obviously, I can't like control it very well, but trying to like stream like on time to like 160 to like 180 kind of sucks.
Okay, I see. Yeah, so um let me think of how to
I'm
put this.
wondering, would you say should I still like go for like 160? You know, try to be like maybe that's not actually half a mile an hour. So you like you're pretend like I'm pretending it's like half a mile an hour. But if I'm like, no, hey, look, you're actually like going like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
I think that's a good way
which
to
one's
put it.
best?
Like, I think the speed is kind of relative. Like, 160 is probably around like 5 miles an hour, or whatever equivalent speed
Right.
on a bike. But um, it's kind of like if I don't know if you've ever like driven for a really long time on the highway.
Not for a long time, no.
Okay,
But
but
I've been in those long drives, so I'll take the experience.
yeah, so like when you are like just kind of driving normally,
Mhm.
on like the normal streets, and you're going like 40, maybe 45, right? And
Right.
that feels pretty good. And then you get on the highway and everyone's going like 70, 80, like 85,
Mhm.
and then that becomes the norm. And then you get off the highway and you're going 45, and
Okay.
you're like, why is it so slow? Like
Right. It's like, oh, I'm crawling along. What is this?
yeah, yeah. So sort of relative speed is also really important, obviously. Um, so like 160 BPM might feel like begrudgingly slow, basically, but
Right. It might feel like the city streets.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
if I can remember that, hey, you're still going like 40 miles an hour, it's like, oh, that's right. This isn't actually like
yeah.
incredibly slow.
It's just like you've just kind of been living on the highway, basically, um, and
Mm.
you sort of have to like readapt to um that. Yeah, and
Then that
like
repeats.
when you learn how to drive, usually you're learning in like parking lot or a community where there's like nobody and you just practice making turns.
Mhm.
um that is also sort of like that applies these exact principles. Like obviously, like you need to sort of develop confidence and like get used to like what it feels like to drive, and develop those basic techniques and like found again here like solid foundation of techniques that you can build off of. Like, can
Right.
you make a left turn properly without like being too like narrow or what have you. um
Okay. Can you
and
do like a triple into a double without clicking 7 times or something?
yeah, basically. um and then you take those techniques and then you can gradually increase the speed, you become a little more confident, and then you can sort of start practicing on like actual roads, right?
Right.
And also, don't try to be 100% perfect
Okay.
before you move on. That is also a fairly common trap
Right.
where
Don't like it to three 100s over like 5 minutes for a stamina map. It's like you got 98 act, just move on.
right. So that's sort of why I don't know if you've seen the KHC method, like
Yep.
doc thing, where he says like if you can get 95, just move on, right? You
Yep.
reach a
I
point,
remember.
you get diminishing returns from trying to practice the same thing, and
Mm.
your technique is good enough that you can start pushing your skill cap, and then as you improve your skill cap more, then that will cover like the rest of the remaining technique that you were kind of refining for. um
Right. Because at that point, it's play play more to get that consistency
yeah,
built in, and then your technique will be like, oh, hey, look, we have this consistency. We can just SS this now.
yeah, it's like okay, there's a couple of analogies I can use, but I'll use the one
Mm.
with piano. So
Okay.
when you're learning a song, or like I guess finishing learning a song, um there might be like one or two like sections where you're still like kind of tripping up, like you keep like your fingers like your brain out, right?
Right. Mind block. It actually is
Right.
very similar with piano.
Yeah, but you're better off just finding a new piece to start practicing,
Mhm.
because basically there's like so much more that you'll get out of like each or like basically each practice session.
Right.
um like
Then if you just kept going to the same song and like trying to get that one like pattern perfect.
yeah, okay, another example. Okay, do you use chopsticks
Yes.
often? Yeah, okay, so when you're running out of food, you
Mhm.
can not pick up nearly as much like with your
Uh,
chopsticks.
mhm. Right.
You know what I'm talking about? As
It
opposed
gets
to if the bowl is full.
right. It gets harder to actually like pick stuff up because like, oh, it's like 4 grains of rice left in the bowl or something.
Yeah, yeah. and you basically have to pick them up one at a time. Like you're basically wasting your time doing that,
Yep.
as opposed to just refilling the bowl, and then you can pick up like a whole bite of rice,
Right.
with your chopsticks. So that's basically the same thing. Like trying to squeeze, like you're like 99% of the way there in technique. Like just move on, right? You're basically like trying to pick up the last grains of rice.
Right. It's like it's good enough. You can move forward.
Yeah, and like you'll still get 4 grains of rice out of your next scoop if it's in a different bowl, or like if you refill it, basically.
Right.
So,
but it will have much more return because then you'll get a lot more than 4 grains of rice.
yeah, it's those 4 grains you were trying to get plus like the next step, basically.
Yep.
So, yeah, that is sort of my fair warning for like sort of fixating on like being absolutely perfect before you move on, and that sort of is part of like this sort of balance between training skill to get better at technique and then training technique to get better at skill. Okay, let's talk a bit about like actual practices that you can do. So hopefully by now you're a little familiar with like the principles of like needing to like slow down and like getting your technique to a comfortable spot that actually matches with your skill cup. So there's a couple things. So there's like sort of drill type map sets for finger control that are pretty similar to the long streams, but that's basically in the
downloaded one of those. It was the one that one of your more recent videos you were doing. It had like those squares where it was. I think you were doing doubles with like hidden or something.
Yeah, so that would be flamingo. Flamingo.
Right.
Flamingo.
I tried doing that and then realized I can't read AR4 very well.
So wait, what are you saying?
I couldn't read AR4 very well. That was my I was trying to do the triples. Or I was trying both the doubles and the triples.
Right.
I realized that I suck at like reading.
So what I would say for these maps, so the reason why it's AR4, okay, well really the point of these map sets is you're staring at the bar at the bottom and you just kind of have the rhythm memorized because it's just you're basically just tapping a metronome.
Okay.
So
so you can you can keep your cursor right in the middle. You don't even have to like aim it.
Yeah, so you just keep your cursor there. The only reason it's a little offset is like so you can read it a little better, and also like if you get off, you can like sort of fix yourself.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like perfect stacks where you're just sitting there like, okay, when does the note lock end? When does the start?
But really, so what you're doing when you play this is you're just staring at the bar at the bottom, the UR bar, and you actually want it to be oh shoot, where is it? Here. So you want it to be maxed out in size. Yeah. So I mean, you've tried using the recommended settings, right?
I think mine's on like 1.5 right now.
Okay, yeah.
I actually like using my peripheral vision to look at it while I'm playing maps to see. It's like it helps me correct like on streams and whatnot. If I'm just like it's like, oh look, I just understreamed that, so I can pick up the speed or pick up my aim a little bit more, see where that leads me.
Right.
It saved me quite a few times on some maps.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
Saved my potential accuracy.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah, I keep mine at 1.5 as well. But for this map, basically, the point is you leave your cursor in the middle, and you just stare at this bar at the bottom, and you're looking for like inconsistencies in like the way that you tap. Like, is the second tap always earlier or like always later, like in a triple?
Okay. Right.
Like things like that. But really, you're just watching that bar to. I mean, you already sort of are familiar with like using the bar to correct your timing, right? Mm-hmm. You're basically doing that.
I do it all the time with how inconsistent I already am. I use it all the time.
You're basically doing that like the entire time in this map.
Okay.
Which is why like you're not actually supposed to be looking at the circles. And if you're having trouble getting the rhythm, I would suggest either listening to the map with auto or watching it in the editor. And just trying to tap along to the timing here. Because obviously it's being played perfectly there and you can listen to like how it sounds.
Right.
But yeah.
I think it's probably another like half my problem is just keeping just keeping the song in my head with like the accurate like rhythm and whatnot.
Right.
Because I would find like sometimes it's like I am not like tapping to the song like at all. I'm just tapping to like what my eyes are reading. It's like using my own reading as a crutch to not have to play the rhythm game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. So reading basically involves both like the visual aspect and also like the song, basically like internalizing the
Yep.
rhythm. Um, I
I'll
guess
just ignore the rhythm sometimes.
yeah, I guess this map's also a pretty good practice for internalizing the rhythm in general because like that's kind of
Mhm.
the point is you just kind of have it memorized. Um, but yeah, this is something I would suggest, but also honestly, so when we were talking about like just kind of moving on after you reach a certain point and like accuracy
Mhm.
at least, um, I think that is a lot more for skill cap than technique. Well,
Okay.
the reason I say that, so as far as like actual accuracy of like the map, but when you're training fundamentals,
Mhm.
like sometimes like you can still get 300s on everything, but like in a really weird way, and it felt a little uncomfortable. Um,
Right.
it's kind of like if you're learning to aim with your right hand or your other hand, and
Mhm.
you play like a 1 star, and you hit everything, but your cursor is so wobbly and shaky. Um,
Right, and it's like your hand like feels awful, like trying to like move it around and
yeah,
whatnot.
like it's more about like feeling like you're almost doing it perfectly, rather than like getting 100% accuracy on the map.
Okay.
Because for a lot of fundamental practices, like auto method, for example, um, oh wait, why did I just type auto method instead of? Oh, I'm trolling. Yeah, just go to like a 1 star map.
Mhm.
Yeah, something like I don't know, right? Um,
I think
so
it would be a good thing for me to like train my like timing because even on like easy like well I say easy but it's like 5-star farm maps. I will drop ack on like free like air quote free combo.
oh yeah,
Because like my timing is so off usually. Like if I get around 100 UR, I did something right. Like that's how I can tell I did something right.
oh,
But
okay,
like for
yeah,
most people, it's like, oh, well, I just did like 80 UR, on like a map like that.
right. So okay, so this is the type of map that you would ideally play with auto method, and
Okay.
so basically auto method like how it works is that you add this slider ball skin to your like element to your skin, and it has
Okay, and
this
you
red dot.
follow the red dot.
Yeah, so you want to keep that red dot covered. So if I turn on auto, um, you'll see that like you don't even know it's there. And the point is,
Right.
so auto method it trains stability, obviously because you can see like you're really trying to move perfectly.
Hmm.
Um, but it also kind of trains focus. Basically, it gives you something to like micro focus on the entire time, which is like to keep the dot covered. So
Okay.
you can catch yourself when you drop focus, um,
Right.
as opposed
Because
to
you can
like
catch
you.
yourself like not looking at the dot or something.
Yeah. Otherwise, like usually you have to like you sometimes don't notice that you ran out of focus until you miss.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, this is another thing where like you might SS the map, but like you don't feel like you're doing this aspect of it almost perfectly.
Okay.
Um, so it should be like that sort of feeling, at least for like fundamentals, where like you'll get this feeling where it's like, okay, I almost got it, or like I'm like pretty much there, and
Hmm.
then that's where you sort of try to move on.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, with that, so auto method and flamingo method. So auto method, I think, is a little less, um, I guess, necessary for you. Although I still
Mhm.
think it's a good practice because like I noticed like in the first like half a second of of the replay you sent me that like you were under aiming almost everything. Um,
Right.
so
It's funny. Sometimes I'll usually end up like over aiming streams if I'm like trying to do louder than steel or something,
right.
uh, or like blue zenith. But I'll be like under tapping and then over aiming, so it's like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, I see.
Tap
Um,
like I'll be aiming early and then tapping late, and then it's like you technically actually still hit something, but it's like not where it's
right.
supposed to be.
Okay, so let me. Well, let's see. Okay, so some practice methods for training fundamentals. Right.
Mm.
So for honestly for finger control, You can isolate and drill finger control pretty well with Flamingo method.
Okay.
And
I will
if you
probably spend like 1,000 plays on that map, of those map sets then. Or
yeah,
on
I
that
would
map set.
suggest trying to like at least figure it out.
Mhm.
Because I think there's like a lot, like basically like you start to get in the like basically in the groove. Like at first it's like kind of frustrating, but once you figure it out
Right.
or like warm up to it, then I think it's pretty good.
Mhm. I had to do that with the stamina practice maps. I had like no idea what was going on. Like I didn't know that like you could turn on like autopilot or just keep your aim in a square the entire time.
Right.
But you're mostly just focused on like keeping your hand consistent because the aim obviously is not supposed to be like part of it.
Yeah, and just talking about the long stream maps. Well, I guess I talked about this during the like the study, but like those maps are
Mhm.
really just for technique, right?
Yep.
But yeah, anyway. So um but I
Which is
think
why I played so much of them.
oh yeah.
I
um
needed that. I need the technique training. The
so
stamina. The stamina is okay. I think I can pass the 190,
oh, that's
but
good.
and then I think I like barely fail the two. I think I like get like 2/3 of the way through 200 BPM and then die. So I'm like almost good stamina, but still working on it because I've only been playing for a year, or a year
So
and 4 months,
oh, okay, dang, let's go.
right?
Um so the flamingo map I think is especially good for you because like
Mhm.
it forces you to tap only the like right amount of times. So a
Yeah,
couple of those other maps might have like a lot of spacing on like you actually have to aim.
yeah. In
Uh,
between those space streams, you could probably find like 3 or 4 clicks.
right. I mean the spaced versions are good in some cases, but obviously in your case, I think it's better to like drill tapping the exact amount of times.
Yep.
And also you might want to do. Oh shoot! I'm like, okay, what's going on with my
Oh,
microphone? Sorry.
very good.
I don't know if you heard that, but
I didn't. I
oh,
was confused.
okay.
All right, yeah, because I didn't hear anything. I'm like, huh?
Oh, no, no, no. Okay, we're good.
Yep.
But yeah, I would also suggest like playing this map with like all different styles of tapping, like starting with your index and starting with your middle, and like maybe alternating or just doing like anything that challenges your fundamentals. Basically, something that's a little uncomfortable for you. When you're playing a
Okay.
map like this and trying to train your fundamentals, like it's really, really about being slightly uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Um, if you're already comfortable at doing something, then like why would you practice it, right? Because
Right. It's like if I can like single tap all those, doubles, 1 2 1 2 1 2 the entire map. It's
right,
like why would I do that if I can already do it?
right. But
Which that's the weirdest thing I can do. That used to be my crutch technique. Is that because my single tapping speed was pretty fast. Most doubles I just single tap, just 1 2, and then it when those turned into jumps, I would literally go like back and forth between each 1 2, 1 2 on one finger, 1 2 on the other finger.
oh,
It
I
turned
see.
into funny looking replays because you could watch the tab bar go up two at a time.
Oh, that's funny. Um, okay, yeah, let's see. So let me grab this. Yeah,
Yeah,
so um, yeah,
yeah,
this
that's what
is
I don't want. I want like actual like full alts, full alternating.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So this will force you to not overtap any bursts.
Mm.
Like oh, what's going on? Plus also it's good practice for internalizing the rhythm instead of relying on only visuals. So
Mm.
ideally, you read with kind of a mix of both.
Okay.
Yeah. So, um,
Yeah, if I can read with the rhythm fully, that would probably be the best because that'd be means I'm training my rhythm reading to the best of my ability.
um, yeah, I agree actually. Um, okay, so Flamingo, obviously this map's is good for like just kind of drilling,
Mhm.
finger control, but I would suggest also just like basically take any map that's like really kind of pushing your limits when it comes
Okay.
to finger control. Um, I would also suggest just
Sputnik.
taking. Yo, let's go. Okay, that map's like
It
crazy.
slaps, but it also slaps me in the face really hard because I can't read it.
Yep.
It's so hard, but it's awesome. But it's so hard.
Okay, let's see. Just taking any map that's challenging.
Also, Sungeki. That one's also super difficult.
Oh yeah.
Mostly because it's AR8 though, so actually that's like my visual reading is like, whoa, buddy, we
Oh,
don't
yep.
play this AR.
Oh, okay. So,
But that's a whole different can of
right.
worms.
A lot of finger control fundamentals comes down to accuracy as well.
Hmm.
Um, honestly, you can take any. Okay, so one practice that I think like lets you do this like relatively naturally, like you just kind of take maps that are challenging for you and get like the best act you can.
Right.
Um, a sort of like principle that you can apply, at least like when you're warming up, when you open the game,
Hmm.
is you like okay, let's say you want to play this map and you just like you just play the top diff, right, or whatever.
Right.
um what you'd actually rather do is go through every diff from the bottom, at least for like
Okay.
one or two map sets to warm up.
Right.
um okay,
Get
okay,
used
okay.
to kind of
Obviously,
284 BPM. Jesus.
yeah, not this one that starts with 9 stars, but
Yeah.
um okay,
I
something like this would be perfect. So this is like literally
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 3.5, and then
Hmm.
5, right? But a map set like this would be perfect. You just kind of like play through all of them,
Okay.
and there's a couple things that this really helps with. But basically, like it like gradually eases up your fundamentals and like make
Mm.
sure that like if you're making any like reading mistakes or finger control mistakes in like one of these difficulties, chances
Right.
are you're also making those mistakes here because it's fundamentals, right?
Right.
But the
Oh,
problem
you'd be
is,
surprised.
yeah, but the only problem is that on the harder diff or the harder map, you won't actually be able to notice those mistakes because the map is so hard. But then
Mm.
if you're trying to fix it on the lower diffs, then that will like if you fix it here, you'll probably fix it on the higher diffs because that fixes like your default mode technique that you use, like that's within your skill range basically.
Right.
Um,
Now I'm wondering to like stack on a part of that using hidden to force me to use audio reading more. Do you think that would be a good idea?
yeah, I think it can help. I
Like
don't.
like lower to higher diff warm-ups to also warm up my audio reading so I'm not because like on most maps I don't actually need like sound so if I like am gonna play it obviously it helps but like the performance doesn't dwindle like immediately, you know.
Right, right. So I would suggest, so especially if you're not that comfortable with hidden,
Mhm.
when you're playing through these map sets, I think just tacking it onto like the lowest diff or the lowest two difficulties, because hidden is basically like, um, the best way to describe hidden is like learning how to read cursive. You can already
Right.
read print pretty well. It's basically the same principles, but like you still need to learn what some letters look like and whatnot. Um,
Hmm.
but
Like trying to read hidden streams, oh god.
yeah, yeah. So there's like cursive, like textbook cursive, and then there's
Mhm.
like how people actually write, which can sometimes be completely illegible.
Right.
You have to start with the basics still with learning hidden, basically. So that's where I would say like starting from the ground up and basically almost thinking of it as like rebuilding the way that you read, but obviously some concepts will carry over because like the letters are the
Right.
same, given that analogy and whatnot. So
Okay.
yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, since I well also teaching myself to like be able to react to AR10 because I can't really read AR10. Like I'm definitely not a hard rock player right now. That's for sure. I also just tack on hidden. It's like oh hey look if I can do AR10 I just tack on hidden, but at that point couldn't read like hidden like AR9 because it's like I only know it's like being able to look at the alphabet and know all the letters and then ask to like read words that aren't necessarily in the same word as the alphabet and then
Oh,
this is no this is not what I remember.
or like it's like reciting the alphabet backwards, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's like hey look you can do this but if we tune this one thing to be different now you suddenly can,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and obviously reading is being able to overcome that tuning.
Okay, let me see if I can note this down. Play, take one or two map sets and just
Play it bottom through top
yeah,
diff.
of difficult. So full spread basically means like easy to hard or whatever.
Right, right.
Um,
Like a good example might actually be like farm map sets, just because they
Yeah,
have that
yeah.
widespread of maps.
Um, so
Or if I can find, I think most consistency farm maps have widespreads. Those are my best farm maps. I cannot diff spike at all. It's kind of funny.
fundamental mistake in one of the lower diffs. Chances are you make that same mistake in harder maps. You just don't notice because those maps are so fast.
It'd
So
be like
yeah,
like how I notice hitting a full stream of 100s in a 5.5 star map because I'm very easily reading it, and then I watch my technique falter. But like getting 74 ac on a 7.5 star space stream map, I'm like, don't care at all because it's so fast and hard that it's like I don't have that expectation of using proper technique to
right.
pass the map.
Um, okay, let me actually link a couple map sets. Okay, so because like farm map sets will work, right? Basically anything that has a full spread. But I think
Right.
maps that are like relatively more complex in rhythm.
I think if I just sort by no grouping and like find map sets, I think
Yeah,
like any just random map sets is
yeah.
probably the way to go, right?
Some good map sets for starting
I can go
out.
by I think I can go by creator because that'll sort whole maps.
Um,
Oh, Kokoro, this is I hate this set.
okay, I'm also gonna link the same map
Immediately
that I
get
sent you at the
flashbacks.
start. So this map that I had you play earlier, I think this map set's also pretty good to just play
Okay,
through.
let's
Um,
see.
yeah.
Reviver, that's right.
So, okay. So, with that, okay. So as we wrap up, I will say if you have any questions that you think of later on, like while you're trying to practice some of this stuff, or if you just
Mhm.
kind of think of it later, you're welcome to just message me on Discord and let me
Okay,
know.
cool.
So, yeah, no worries about that. But,
Awesome.
um, yes, hopefully that was helpful. Do you have any sort of last questions as we wrap up?
I don't think so. I think we covered basically everything. Although maybe I'm wondering based on the skill cap of my aim so far relative to how new I am,
Uh huh.
um, where would you like project a potential skill ceiling if I were to like continue just playing actively but spend more time drilling fundamentals at this rate?
Uh huh. Oh, like,
And then so slow down on the skill cap and then drill like a lot of fundamentals.
are you saying
Where do
like
you think?
if you didn't really train much skill cap, but you only did fundamentals, then like where do you think you'd be able to play, or what do you mean?
Right, like if I kept my skills like, or no, well, maybe not that specifically. Like if I started, like I keep playing for like a skill cap a little bit because I mean I just do that for fun, right?
Right.
Um, but then I started. I make a large part of my OSU sessions drilling the fundamentals, like really like putting in a lot of time to learn
Right.
proper technique. Like where would you project
S-
me to be if I kept doing that? Like just kept improving.
So I think I think that's a good question. I think the best way to think about it is how I was saying where like your skill cap is kind of like level 70 and then your
Mhm.
fundamentals are level 20, but like once you get them all up to speed, and also you're like three-legged stool
Right.
where once you get those like fundamental issues basically sorted, then like you won't have that many other issues to worry about.
Mhm.
I would suspect like whatever skill cap you feel like, basically any map that you feel like you can do it, but you just don't have the control at all.
Mhm.
Like image material might be a good example. You might need a little more like raw stamina.
Yeah.
I'm not
Oh,
sure.
definitely. I falter a little bit towards the end sometimes,
Right, right.
or under streaming some of the final
But
streams.
yeah, basically any map where you currently feel like you don't run out of stamina necessarily, you definitely have the speed, but you just have no control.
The
Um,
deceit. That's such a perfect map for
yeah.
to like to so squarely fit that analogy.
Okay.
I have
Yeah.
I have 1,000 combo with 11 misses, but 80 accuracy.
Okay. Yeah. I think like just fixing up your technique, fixing up your finger control, like that is going to basically let you actually use any of the skill that you currently have. So
Mhm.
I don't think that map is actually that out of reach, like so to speak. Like once you sort of fix up any like
Right. Not
you know
specifically the top diff, obviously, but
right,
the
right,
six
right,
stone.
right.
The top diff would be awesome though.
Yeah, that
But
map,
that's for another time.
maybe in a month or two.
I'll be the next KHZ in about a month here.
Oh,
Let's go.
true. Get that clickbait thumbnail.
Yeah, snipe them. Let's go.
Yeah, snipe KG.
Like, could you imagine?
Let's
Although
go.
I have the 250 stamina, kind of
Oh, let's
for
go.
the lower diff, but not for the higher diff.
Okay,
I had
so
to train more raw stamina 250 plus.
yeah, you'll get there. I think you definitely have. Like it's not as out of reach as it might actually feel.
Right.
But yes, let me send over this notepad file, and I do have to head
It
out.
also
So
might partly be my technique holding me back, because if I like tense up too hard, then my speed goes away. It's gone. It just vanishes.
oh yeah, exactly. So okay,
Yeah.
let me get this.
Okay.
text
I don't
over
want to
you.
hold you for too long. Right?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
But yes, thanks again for doing this. So a couple things to wrap up.
Yes, thank you.